and then you were going to say something about how fabulous her figure is, and it's still the same today. So thank you.
Oh, yes.
And by the way, who would think that a guy who's completely covered in a tar man's outfit and has maybe 10 minutes in the picture, 15 minutes, is remembered so? I mean, I have people, whenever talk to me about it, they say, who was the tar man? Who was the tar? How did they knock his head off? Well, you have to ask Clue for that because he did it. And by the way, that was a marvelous strike you made with that baseball bat, Clue. Were you a baseball player ever?
You know, many years ago, I ran into a small, really small actor. And he said, "You don't know who I am?" I said, "No." He said, "I played the stunt guy for the tar man when you knocked his head off."
Wow.
And I said, "Why did you do that?" I was not a stuntman. I was not an athlete. I could hardly hold my head up, my neck was so weak. And I had to use a baseball bat, a Louisville Slugger, to knock that head that was sitting on your head. And I swung as hard as I possibly could to try to make it go up in the air. And I knew nothing about baseball. Well, I was an idiot for doing that, and I know that, and I told my daughter-in-law who was with me the other day, I said, "Why did I do that?" She said, "I don't know, you shouldn't have." And I said, "Well, but that's the most dangerous thing I've ever been around." That guy said, "Why did you do that?" He said, "Clue, it was a job. I had to work. I couldn't turn down work." And that's the way it is with us as actors. We don't turn down work. Most of us can't afford to.
You know what I always wondered about? The Yellow Corpse. When we released him, he was barefooted, and all that glass broke in the room, and he walked on that broken glass. He had no shoes on. I just thought of that. Did any of you ever think about it, or don't you?
I thought it was just sugar glass.
What?
Sugar glass that doesn't really cut.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not sure.
I picked up a piece and cut my finger.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I bled for a long time too.
Oh.
That fella, his name is Terrence, and he's a boxer apparently. A boxer. I've spoken to him.
How come he doesn't make appearances?
Well, he wouldn't be in the documentary, and our manager produced the documentary.
Oh.
So he doesn't get to play, I guess.
Man, okay.
I just felt terrible for him because he had to get into my suit after me. And so I'd been doing the movie for like 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever. And it's like, okay, we're ready to knock your head off. You come out, cut! Right? And I run into the dressing room, get out of the suit, and there's this guy who's this tall. And I go, "Here you go, have fun." I'm wrapped, I'm out of here.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I feel so bad for you.
A lot of sweat.
Yeah, just cold and
Oh, yeah.
We had a question in the front row. Wait for the mic.
All right, yeah, I was wondering, it's basically addressed to everybody. Somebody who was a favorite of mine, I was wondering if you had any experiences you could share with working with a guy who was awesome in Friday the 13th, Part 5, Mark Venturini.
Who?
Rest his soul, Mark Venturini, who played Suicide.
Oh, he was so sweet. That's the tragedy of this movie.
Yeah.
He was such a sweet man, and I thought terrific. He figured out that was his costume. He did all of that. The hook off of the chain from his ear to his nose or mouth, and he was. I didn't work with him. I had no scenes with him, but I just was watching him. I thought he was terrific.
Yeah, he worked. He was really quiet on the set. And he worked really quietly but very intense in his scenes. It was
His brother showed up somewhere. Was it in
Chicago.
Yeah, convention.
Chicago.
In Chicago, his brother showed up and it was
He brought us
very
sandwiches.
touching.
Yeah.
Very touching. I'm glad you talked about
We happened to be in Chicago at the time he showed up too. He didn't just like get on a plane and went to Chicago.
Very sweet.
What did you say?
He came to see us.
And he was touched by how big the movie had become.
I don't know
and
what
how-
the hell you're talking about, Tommy. I never know what the hell you're
Like
talking
this job.
What are you talking about, Tommy? Tommy, let grown-ups talk. Let the grown-ups.
That's the great tragedy of this motion picture in my mind. His best friend, Suicide, best friend, told me that he thought this would be his big break in motion picture acting, that he would move up into 2 or 3 levels above what he was doing on this picture. And he worked and worked and worked. And when he was on the set, during the scene with this beautiful woman, and this beautiful woman came up and felt his thighs and his crotch. And
Yeah,
he
we
said,
noticed that.
he said, "Get away, you dirty girl." But I couldn't believe that this kid was into the part so much. I thought he was Gregory Peck playing Suicide.
Yeah.
And he died not too long after that, and he never profited, ever, not even a hint of getting another job at another level from this great portrayal he gave us on this little small picture that has become, like Beverly says, somewhat of a legend. And that's the great tragedy of this film, I feel, other than Dan O'Bannon, the director.
Linnea, how many times did you and Suicide do that scene? Do you remember?
Dancing?
The dance scene and you going up to him and him pushing you aside?
Well, not many times. We did it like maybe 3 times at the most.
And how about the dance scene?
The dance scene we did about 4 times because they had it with the road flares and without the road flares.
And there's different music too.
And there's
for that.
different music. It was Nasty Girl instead of Stacy Q's Tonight. So it's amazing that both of them work, you know, together in my moves. So I was dancing to Nasty Girl by Vanity and the songs by Stacy Q Tonight.
I had a question for Beverly. Bev, I had heard there was a couple more movies. You had kind of taken a temporary hiatus from acting for a while, and I hear you're coming back.
Yeah, I am. Thank you. I've been away because I've been raising my son, and now I've gotten back into things a bit, and I have 2 movies coming out, so I'm really excited. One's called No Solicitors with Eric Roberts. He plays my husband, and I'm the wife, and it's going to come out this year. It's a horror movie, so yay. And and the other one is called The Kitchen Sink. The title might change, but it's going to be a really big movie. And Brian Peck, who plays Scuzz in this with us, we were asked to do cameo roles. So we got the zombie makeup, and we are zombie parents. So it's really exciting. I can't wait for that. That one's going to be 2015. They've got a lot of special effects happening for it. So you can look for that. But it's cameo. We're very small, but we're definitely the zombie parents sitting at the table. So it's fun.
Yay, Beverly. Yes.
And also, Beverly told me today is a special day, I guess, in the history of the film.
Yes, today is August 16th, which is also my husband's birthday, and I forgot. How terrible. But most importantly for today, it's our 29th anniversary. The movie was released on this day. So if you look on the poster, it's August 16th, 1985. So it's 29 years. So it's really fun to be here.
Weird.
Next year's going to be a big 30 for us. So we'll see what Mikey pulls up for us.
Do you remember we were at Hollywood Book and Poster for that and we took pictures?
I didn't go to that.
Oh, shoot. I know Mark did and Brian, I'm pretty sure. And I'm not sure how many. Miguel.
Yeah. I remember seeing the pictures for that.
Yes.
Very cool.
And also, there's a really great documentary that was released, I guess, about a year or two ago. Everything you want to know about the film was put together by the person that put this together, Mikey Perez. If you're a fan of the film, this documentary is well worth getting. It's just fascinating to see everything behind the scenes and to see the current interviews with everybody.
And it's hilarious.
Yes.
There are some things in there that you roll on the floor, you're going, no, he did not say that. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's a great documentary.
Okay. Who else has any questions? Right here.
At least facial makeup's done to you. How long were they taking? And Tom, you look like you were totally blind while you were in it.
Well, after they threw the acid on my eyes and swelled up, I think it was about 3 hours. They put the prosthetic on, or the latex on, and then they had to, hide it in. It was usually in the morning. It wasn't a lot of scenes, but that was about the time period. It was about 3 hours.
Could you see?
I could see there's little pinholes that they had made, so I could see. Because when I was going down the hallway, it looked like I couldn't see, but I actually could see a little bit.
I thought you were great in that scene, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. My makeup we had two different makeup artists. One was Bill Munns, and the other one was it Kenny Myers? Yeah, Kenny Myers. And Bill Munns was about the slowest makeup artist I've ever seen. He had to get like this paint that made me white that wouldn't come off in the rain, and he tried some that would crack, some that wouldn't, and he got one that would stay on in the rain. The problem was I couldn't get it off when I got home. It was like, I remember him handing me gasoline, and it's like, I actually tried it, which wasn't good, but nothing would take it off. And then his makeup took about 5 hours. I hated it. I hate facial appliances. And then Kenny Myers came and made the one where I just do the bite, and it had the elongated jaw. And that took about 5 hours also to apply, and then do my body makeup too. And my Barbie doll appliance.
Barbie doll. Yes.
I guess I was lucky in that sense because I didn't have prosthetics applied directly to my skin. My whole head thing was just basically like a helmet that I put on, like that. And it had some cable-operated expressions on it, line movements. So it was actually relatively easy for me to get into it. It was the head, and the top was just like a leotard top and pants. Sorry, gotta go. And so the only thing that took any time at all was really once they put the head on, it had some pieces that had to be glued down so it didn't look like a head stuck on. But it was relatively quick for me. So they still did it first thing in the morning, and I just sat around all day. If I had known then what I know now, I would have said, you know what, I'm not going to put the head on until they finish shooting the scene I'm not in. And
Oh, yeah.
I'll be happy to put the head on.
You were ready to go.
Yeah.
Is that your tongue? It's your
Yes.
tongue.
Yeah, that's my
we want
tongue.
that. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I could actually open the jaw with my mouth. It was just it was like a cup down here.
And Linnea, you remember the producer's car? You sitting in his car with, he had a Jaguar and she was cold, so he said, well, go sit in my car. And so she sat in the car, and you tell the story.
Oh, I sat in his Jaguar because he had some heat in there, and the white paint came off on his leather seat, and he could not, no matter what he did, get it out. And his girlfriend thought that we were having an affair. It was crazy, but that paint was so just stuck on you. His poor leather seat was
It
just
never came off his
terrible.
car.
Never came off. They couldn't get it out.
Whose car was that?
Graham Henderson.
Graham Henderson.
And Louise. He finally married Louise, so it's all good.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, we're going to take a couple last questions. Over here again. Over here.
Clue, what was more challenging or interesting, acting in this movie opposite a bunch of zombies or working with Ronald Reagan on The Killers?
Oh, well, that's about a question as bad as the question I wanted to ask Linnea, but I was afraid to. Ronald Reagan played the part of the bad guy with Lee Marvin, Angie Dickinson, John Cassavetes, and me. And he was a kind of actor. Now, this is your president. He was a kind of actor who played every reaction, every breath, every turn of the head, every stroke of his tie, precisely. Every rehearsal, every take, every retake, and a great, terrible thing happened. Lee Marvin was not known for his sobriety. So we were rehearsing a scene with Ronald Reagan in Ronald Reagan's office. And he said, "Clu, watch this." So we had a rehearsal. He came on, he did his part a certain way, Lee Marvin. And Ronald Reagan responded, I thought, quite beautifully. We finished the scene. They lit it, they got the sound distance, the focal distance, and the director said, let's have another rehearsal, Don Siegel. So Lee Marvin said, "Clu, watch this." He did the part, totally different. This brilliant actor, Marvin, this drunk, he did it totally different, and it was perfect. And Ronald Reagan responded in precisely the same way as he did in the first time that Lee did it, which was totally different. He didn't, not a hair changed in his expression or anything. So we finally got the set ready to go. He said, I think we should need one more final dress rehearsal. The director said, so Lee Marvin said, "Clu, watch this." And he came on. Now this is honest to God truth. At Universal, I was with these big guys. And he said, he came on, he did the scene a different way. Totally, everything was different, and it was brilliant. What an actor that Marvin was. And sequence. That's not permitted. That's not permitted. We have created an object, a physical object, that is placed over the woman's genitalia. And it hides. And it looks like everything's okay. And I wondered, as we filmed the scene, I watched both scenes very closely because, I want to be... Now you're telling me that's all legend. That did not happen.
No, I did when I was dancing wear this Barbie doll appliance. Like, I think they call them merkins or something like that.
That's what they call them exactly, merkins.
Yes.
Write that down, rest it in your Bible, and we'll talk later.
Yes.
Yeah, Amazon.
But yes, when I was dancing, I was wearing one because you can't show the frontal nudity.
No, but not across the plaza. You were not wearing it.
No, they just painted me up for that one.
Painted you up?
And they had all that fog and everything, so you can't really tell.
I could tell.
Oh, okay.
Dave, the owner of this festival, wrote me when we were making that scene, the plaza scene where she walked across and he said, "Clu, could I visit the scene?" And I said, "You can't come on the set. There's nudity involved." He said, "Yes, but I'm in show business." I said, "Dave, you can't." He said, "Okay." Well,
Oh my gosh.
that's the way it happened.
I remember James brought, and I was so embarrassed, Jason Robart, and somebody brought Miles O'Keefe or somebody like that.
No, John Pilgrim brought Eric Stoltz.
Yes, yes.
Who? With his
And,
mask. Yeah.
and I remember it was the day that I had to do you ever wonder about the different ways of dying? And I was like, oh my God, this is Jason Robart. I was like so embarrassed. I was so scared.
One addendum to the Merkin question. They do have a vendor out here in the horror festival. Dave hired them. And if you girls ever, the married girls I'm speaking of, ever feel like you should entertain your husband, but you want to have a little restraint, you can buy a custom-made Merkins out here in Dave's vending.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can ask for the Dave
That's a
discount.
fact.
You get 10% off.
That's a fact.
Clue will be very happy to autograph a Merkin if you have one.
Yes.
He's an expert in handling them.
Oh my God.
Well, I know that Tom was, he just recently married to a beautiful woman, one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. And he was shopping for one out here. I saw that. Yeah. That happens. Well, that's showbiz.
Yes.
Now we brought it to this level. Have you anything to say, James?
I would like to move on the conversation.
Okay, let's move on.
Because I thought we were here to discuss our picture in regard to a Shakespearean plot of the, and you've changed the whole thing.
I don't know why I did that. Now it was really going well.
Methinks you've gone too far, sir.
Okay, Dave, let's move on.
Okay, actually what we're going to do is we're going to wrap up. We're going to have the group stand together on stage for, you guys can take photos for the reunion. It's really, it's a once in a lifetime thing for us, and I'm personally, I've been a fan from the film from when it came out in the theater, and I'm thrilled to have everybody here. I've been fans. We did this once before a few years ago, but to have the group we brought together this time is really fantastic. So we'll have the group stand together for, you guys want to take photos? Okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Dave, thank you so much for having us and moderating.
Thank you.
29 years later.
I would also like to mention there was a man who put the whole thing together. Without him having a drunken luncheon with John Russo, this might never have happened. Tom Fox was a Bond salesman in Chicago who was having this wonderful luncheon, and John Russo said he owned the title, Return of the Living Dead, and Tom said, gee, he was just drunk enough to say, I'd like to make a movie. I'll buy it. And he bought it.
Unbelievable. I didn't know that.
And Tom had never made a movie, didn't have any idea, but he did like the idea of going to Hollywood and meeting girls in the casting sessions. So he went to all the people that he'd made money for in the Bond department business, and he said, listen, I've always made you money in the Bonds. He said, I'm thinking of going to Hollywood and making a picture. Put some money in, I'll make some money for you. And that's how the picture really got started.
Wow, I did not
You
know that. No.
Tom was a big, wonderful man who really did like the casting sessions.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He, he later owned a Merkin company.
He did not own it, he had the Merkin concession.
I'm so different. Yeah. Okay, Dave, let's move on.
Oh my God, now we have to take pictures.
Yeah. Get your Merkins ready, Agnes.